3 custom planner spreads using some super fun scrapbooking supplies. Let's do it. Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am super pumped because I love playing with paper, and all 3 custom planner spreads today are going to involve some paper supplies. So we have a venti size spread for Danny, who wants a beach theme. So I found some bright colors, some gorgeous stickers from Live Love Posh, and we're going to create that for her. And then both Danielle and London said I could do what I wanted. So I recently went to a scrapbook convention to check out all the fun new things. And so I'm going to create some fun different kinds of spreads for them. So I will link the things that I use down in the description box below. Otherwise, I'm going to put you all on fast forward. Let's go. Okay, so first up is Danny's spread. Like I said, she uses the venti size, which is the same size as a big happy planner. And she uses the dashboard layout, and she wanted a beach party theme. And I love the Summer Allure sticker book from Live Love Posh. It's one of my favorites. And I went with a little bit more, now this is going to sound weird, a subtle beach party theme. This is not a subtle spread. It is bright and colorful. I absolutely love how the spread comes out. But I didn't go like over the top party. We have surfboards, we have beautiful flowers, we have drinks. This feels like a party without saying party all over it. I am also in love with this technique of taking the paper and continuing bits of each type of pattern paper on the other side of the spread. So for instance, you see that I carried the rows of color over from the right and brought them onto the left. And then I carried that geometric pattern from the left and brought it over to the right. It feels as if I've combined 2 humongous pieces of paper instead of using bits and pieces from each paper. I am digging this technique. You're actually going to see it again later on in this video. It's just a very cool way to unite the 2 sides of a spread. Instead of using the same exact paper on both sides, you can use complementary paper and kind of bring them across the page, almost as if you were putting stickers over the edges of the pages, which is another technique I absolutely love. Whenever you use scrapbook paper as the background, that means you have to cut out the different boxes and then relocate them onto the scrapbook paper. This is why I love having extra layouts just hanging around, either undated spreads or old planners that you ended up not using, maybe out of date planners that you can redate. It's fun to be able to cut those up to create unique spreads like this using beautiful scrapbook paper. So from the dashboard half of this layout, I actually only chose to cut out the long to-do list. I think that's probably one of the most vital parts of the dashboard layout. And then I'll bring in boxes in another way using Mojo Jojo Plans boxes. And I'm using her big size boxes. They tend to be a little larger, work very well for the venti size spreads. I started out using a light purple because there's light purple in some of the florals that I am choosing, but then I end up changing it later on because I actually went with a dark red and I changed it to a dark purple. I think the dark was a nice contrast to all the brightness that is in the background. So you can see I made a plan for where I thought most of the decorative pieces were going to go, and now I'm bringing in a few more boxes. This is me trying to figure out what color do I want to use. I tried green. That green was too green. It didn't have enough blue to match the florals, but the red is really nice. I love that it's a deep dark red. I think that is unexpected, and I think it goes really nicely with the florals in the spread. And then this is where I decide, you know what, the purple is not working. Light purple is not working for me. Let's put that back. Let's go with dark purple. And yes, that picks up very nicely. Normally I don't do too many colors, like there's a lot of different colors, but I'm focusing on red and purple in the foreground on all of the boxes. There are a lot of different colors you could have chosen from. You could go with the yellows and the oranges or the pinks. But for me, bringing out the red and purple really helped put the focus on the decorative stickers, and it creates or it makes the background papers, the scrapbook paper, feel more like the background, which was the goal in the first place. Now, up until now, I was planning on top of sticker guides. Those are those plastic sheets. You can actually get them from the Happy Planner. You can also just use something like wax paper. It allows you to do your layout and be able to move things around easily while you're still deciding where stickers should go. Once I figure out pretty much where I want things, I start going ahead and transferring pieces over to the page. This makes it easier to fill in some of the smaller detail moments. So I'm getting the large elements on the page. I figured out what the best layout was going to be for boxes and a few of the decorative stickers. Every now and then I do change where things end up when I'm in the midst of transferring them. And this is one of those times. I love this bus, but I think having it in the middle as opposed to all the way over to the right-hand side makes a little bit more sense for this spread. So I did shift it as I was moving it on over. I kind of always think in layers when I'm working on decorative planning. I do one layer at a time, and then I look to see if the spread can handle another layer of stickers, meaning are there more places where I can add some decorative details, some little moments that are not going to overwhelm the spread. To me, the phrase live, love, surf, that definitely screams beach. So I wanted to have that. There were some smaller stickers that I felt really needed a place on the spread. And then I realized that Thursday actually needed a box of some sort. So I've got to add something there. I figured a fun drink that definitely says party to me. So we're going to have that. And then we're going to add a little floral right there just to soften that edge just a bit. This is one that I probably should have planned, so I wasn't pulling up stickers, but that's okay. It all works out in the end. I like it in the end. It's coming together. There are a few other little small moments, and I love this particular floral, and I wanted to have it over in the corner, flip-flops, just those small little details. I also want to go ahead and add a few bullet points onto this spread just to make it as functional as possible. And once those are in place, that is pretty much going to be it for Danny's beach party spread. It is bold, it is vibrant, it definitely screams summer. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the paper as the background. You're going to see that a lot because I think scrapbooking supplies lend themselves beautifully to creative planning, and they really result in some original spreads, which I absolutely love. All right, I'm going to finish up the bullet points. Let me know what you think of Danny's spread down below. And next we're going to play with even more scrapbook paper, but this time it will be for Danielle's spread. Okay, so Danielle asked for a vertical grande layout, and she said I could choose whatever I wanted. And as of the recording of this video, I just recently went to the Stamp and Scrapbook Expo at Dulles Expo Center, which is a wonderful kind of scrapbooking and stamp convention where they have a lot of great vendors. And I love going and I love shopping. You can definitely check out the vlog that I have for my visit and the haul video, all that. Well, when I was filming this, I had just recently gone and I wanted to play with some of the new supplies that I picked up. And this is one of those sets. This is from Simple Stories. It's called Front Porch. It is so cute. I love it so much. It is just beautiful. And so I wanted to play with this set, and this is going to be like all the paper layering, and it makes me so happy. I think you guys are really going to like this spread. I think this week in particular is going to be very hard to choose your favorite. So I cannot wait to hear which ones you all think. So here's what I did. Instead of choosing one piece of paper for one side of the spread and one piece of paper for the other, or doing matching papers on both sides. Instead, I'm combining some papers in the background as the base for these particular spreads. I love the kind of sage gingham in the back, and then we have the brown florals. Very interesting, very different, but let's add some more interest by overlapping them in a different way. So see how that's going to be the florals on top, the gingham on the bottom. I need to make sure when I overlap them, it equals 9 1/4 inches. That is great. And that is where that's going to go. And then we're going to flip it on the other side just to create a little bit more interest. Now, I'll tell you in advance, I end up adding a ton to this spread. So you actually don't get a ton of the background, but it's there just enough. To me, this is screaming like grandma chic, which I'm here for. I love that style. I think it is so cool and so beautiful. And this is giving me like wallpaper vibes for the summer, like visiting the grandparents. I think it is just a fun feel for this particular collection from Simple Stories. And I love how it comes across on this spread. Now, I'll be honest, this particular paper that I'm cutting up right now that has all of these doilies on it, that is what I originally wanted to use as the background. But when I was considering what to put on the background, I was thinking, you know, most of the doilies are going to get covered up by the paper. So you're not really going to appreciate them. So I ended up not using it that side. I used the gingham side as the light side. I still wanted to celebrate the doilies though. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm trimming out all of these paper pieces by hand, cutting out all of these doilies so that we can add them to the edges of the spread. It does a couple of things. First of all, it brings in this cool element that I was in love with. These sweet doilies are awesome. It also breaks up some of the typical lines in a planner spread. And I'm going to do a lot of rectangles and a lot of lines in this spread. So having elements that broke up those lines in advance was just a really great addition to me, and it makes the spread much more interesting. I am not the biggest fan of when everything lines up, when you have all of these right angles all over your planner spread. Yes, super functional, but from an artistic standpoint, a decorative standpoint, it's just more interesting when things have a little bit of a softer look. So I cut out a bunch of the different doilies. We are layering them on the spread, kind of on the edges. That way there's still plenty of room to write. I still want this to be a spread that Danielle can actually use and write on. So I'm trying to keep the heavy decorative elements to the edges. I'm going to trim off the pieces that are kind of hanging over the edge, and then I'm going to cut apart the 2 pages. I need to repunch the holes in them. And from this point, I can start worrying or focusing on the functionality of the planner spread, starting out with adding the days of the week. I am choosing Days of the Week stickers from Mojo Jojo Plan's Dated Basics Volume 2. And I really like this particular set from Volume 2 with kind of the outlines of the days of the week. So we're going to have those at the top, and then we need functional stickers. Again, I'm pulling from Mojo Jojo Plans, her pastel sticker book, that light green sage color. There's a perfect match to it. So we're going to do that for all of the functional boxes. Instead of trying 2 colors, I figured there's enough going on around the edges of this spread. I don't need to bring in even more to the middle. So we're going to go what I'm considering a neutral color with the boxes. And then we'll add little bursts of color once I get the boxes all situated. Usually I like to do a box in the bottom right corner, but I actually figured with that doily, she can write on top of that. It's just paper. So she can use that as her double box. Once I'm good with the boxes, let's transfer them over to the page, and then I'm going to try to figure out how to bring a little bit more color across the spread. Here's the deal. In the lower left-hand corner, you have a floral piece that has some red to it. The red is not really showing up on the right side of the spread because a lot of the background was covered up by the boxes. So I need some pops of red to go over on the right hand side, just little bits so that that floral piece in the bottom left doesn't look out of place. Once I add some different journaling lines on the spread, I opted for lines here instead of bullet points just because it was feeling, I don't know, it felt a little bit more traditional perhaps. It just felt like it fit with the spread a little bit better to have lines instead of bullet points. So that's what I went for in this case. I'm using a stencil from the Happy Planner. Once those are in place, then you're going to see me pull out the cardstock sticker sheet. Most collections from Simple Stories do include a cardstock sticker sheet, and I'm going to look for some elements that have red. I had to bring in a little bit of that floral. That's 1 pop of red. Then There is a little red butterfly, a little red floral piece. I love this one that says love in like this cross stitch pattern. That's going to be moved over. I just found a few little elements of red that I could bring around the spread to make it pop even more. They might be my favorite additions to this entire spread. I love the bits of red because I feel like they are unexpected. All right, that is going to wrap it up for Danielle's front porch spread. Let me know what you think of it down below, and then let's play with some more pretty paper on London's spread. Okay, last but not least today is London, who also gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted on her spread. And I opted for the Flower Emporium. This is a new collection from 49 and Market in collaboration with Vicky Booten, who is one of my favorite designers. And I love 49 and Market. So this was like a collab made in heaven. I'm going to cut down the papers again. We're going to do the same kind of series of having the scrapbook paper in the background. London uses a dashboard layout as well, but she actually also uses the grande size. So a little bit smaller, closer to the classic size. And in this case, I'm going to do the same thing where you're carrying over an element from each side to kind of overlap the two edges. See how that looks like it's almost one piece of paper and those butterflies are just kind of flying across? I think that that is such a cool look. I just became, it's so funny. You try something and you're like, yeah, that's it. I like it. All right, I'm going to go punch holes in that, and then we have to add the dashboard boxes on the right side of the spread. I always try to do that before I get too carried away with anything else on the planner spreads. When you are using the scrapbook paper, it can get really tempting to just start doing a million other things or worry about the left-hand side. You've got to figure out where all the actual planner boxes are going to be so that it can be a functional piece. Same thing as with our last dashboard planner. Let's make sure to add the to-do list. That is going to be pretty important to keep that functional. And then actually for this to-do list, I think it would look better if it kind of went underneath this paper. So I'm going to pull it up just a little bit, put plenty of adhesive down, slip it under there, and then press everything down once again. And then let's get this attached as well. Now, I'm so in love with the background here that I didn't go too crazy on where everything was going to fit. I considered, do I want to add that? Nope, I did not. Let's play with some elements. Instead of doing traditional functional boxes for London spread, instead I chose some different tag pieces. These are journaling ephemera bits that you can get with the 49 and Market collection. And I thought, you know what, these tags will work great for functional boxes. I'm actually going to leave some more open space on London's spread because the elements are so bold. If I filled up the whole spread, it would be too much. London can always go in and use black boxes to add additional functional boxes to this, and it will be beautiful. So I wanted to choose boxes that were going to be kind of out of the box, like not your typical regular boxes, more like tags. You see a library card over on the left. You see like a mail card, a postcard on the right hand side. It's fun to use those elements because it feels almost like a junk journal spread. Once all of the boxes are in place, then I pull out the paper ephemera that is the florals. And I feel like you can't do the Flower Emporium without pulling in some more florals to your spread. So I actually chose a bicycle that says the flower shop on the corner. And we're going to have the bicycle kind of anchor the spread at the bottom. You can see I'm picking out some different florals. And then we'll just have little peaks of florals, like not an overage of florals on the spread, just little bits and pieces. I kind of play around with what floral I want where. I wanted a big like over the top floral coming out of the basket. I did end up deciding to go with the pink rose. You'll see it make an appearance later, but I'm just tucking in a few florals here and there. I wanted to really celebrate the stark background of this paper, which I happen to think is, I just love it. I love the background. This is totally a spread that I would be excited to use in my planner. In fact, all three spreads today are definitely my style, my vibe. I love them so much. Let's add a few more details to London's, and then we are going to call it a day on her spread. So today, 3 planner spreads, all with pretty paper. I'd love to hear which one was your favorite. So as a reminder, we had Danny's beach party spread with the rich red and purple. Then we had Danielle's front porch spread. And last but not least, we had London's flower market spread. Let me know what you think of them down below. I will link the supplies I used in the description box below, so you can check those out if you are interested in trying to recreate these spreads. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I want to give a huge shout out to my entire Patreon community. If you are looking for a fun, creative, inspiring space with people that are there to cheer you on and inspire you through a ton of extra content and perks, Patreon is the place to be. You can head over to patreon.com/ScrappyWife to find out more. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.